page 88 in Halakha Mem Zayin in Halakha Bora. Look in the middle of the page. 88. We're moving fast.
Yeah.
Says Rabbi David Yosef. Oh, let's go up to the Halakha, Shulchan Aruch. Look at the top of the page. Yashan bayom. If somebody sleeps during the day, yesh lihistapek. We are in doubt. Im tzarich la'arot mayim alehen 3 pamim. If a person has to pour water in his hands 3 times. Because he's sleeping during the day. So according to the opinion that maybe his hands are dirty, maybe that applies. According to the opinion that when you sleep, you get a rachra, it doesn't have to be at night. Or it doesn't have to be at night. We don't know. So he's saying, says the Ramah, v'yitlem b'lo b'chai, you should do it without a blessing.
Sleep is different from nap.
Right here, he's really sleeping. It happens. I think some people, they think it's not a nap. Listen, a nap in bed for an hour is not a nap, it's a sleep. Yeah? We say nap, it's like he put his head down on the couch for a few minutes, or he fell asleep in the rabbi's speech. Yeah, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Says Rabbi David Yosef, Hayashen bayom. Someone who sleeps on the day, he told Yadav 3 pamim, he should wash his hands 3 times. The sirugin, alternatingly. Bikumo mishnato, when he wakes up from his sleep. Ulam, but eino mevarech al netilat yadayim, but he does not make a blessing of al netilat yadayim. Vim yashen bayom shenat arayin, if he sleeps during the day, a temporary sleep, like a nap, and that's the word he helped us out with. Kagon sheyashan zman mu'at biyoter, for example, if he sleeps an exceptionally short amount of time. O shelo yashan al mitato, or he doesn't sleep in his bed. En tzarich netilat yadayim klal, he does not need to wash his hands at all. Guys have clock for a footnote? Yeah. You see in the footnotes on the right hand side it says Chaf Hey? Yeah? Right here?
Oh, right.
On the right hand side, Chaf Hey. Maran Bet Yosef. Maran in his Bet Yosef. Nistapek was in doubt b'divrei HaZohar HaKadosh on how to interpret the words of the Holy Zohar. But the Maran himself was already the beginning of mixing Halakha and Kabbalah here. Disvir alei, and he holds the Ruach Ra'ah, that the evil spirit, Ba Machmat HaShena, comes due to sleep, because of sleep. I'm going to put this here. Yeah. 88. Im hainu dafka shenat alayla. When the Zohar says that a person gets ruach ra when they sleep, is it sleep specifically at night? Or af shenat hayom, or maybe does that include also sleeping during the day?
Maybe during the day.
Right, so Maran is not sure. We're in the footnote here. So Maran is saying maybe the Zohar means anytime you sleep, or maybe it only means when you sleep at night. V'hiniach b'tzarich iyun, and Maran leaves it off as we have to look further into this topic. Ayan Sham, look there. V'niran, it appears d'lefi ta'amo shel HaRashba, that according to the reason of the Rashba, anybody remember on page 53, 51, what page is that? 53. Remember what the Rashba's reason is? Why do we wash our hands in the morning? Because we become
I had 4 reasons.
Reason number 4. We become a new creation. Very nice, very nice. We become a new creation, and the verse uses Chadashim the Pekarim, in the morning we become new. And 53. We're back to page 88. So according to the Rashba's reasons, that when you wake up from your sleep, you become a new creation. Hu hadin liyashen bayom. So that would mean that even when you sleep during the day, you become a new creation. Because Shari hikpid nishmato b'yad HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Because your neshama went back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu while you were sleeping.
In the daytime.
Even in the daytime. V'hichzir alon, Hashem gave it back to you.
Sound sleep.
But you don't say Modeh Ani when you get up.
So we're going to see all this right now. V'na'asa kebriya chadasha, and you become a new creation. V'tzarich et al-yadayim, and you have to wash your hands. I mean, according to the Rashba's reasoning, that sleeping makes your neshama leaves your body and then it comes back. That's true during the daytime also. So according to the Rashba, would you have to wash your hands when you wake up during the day?
Yes.
Yes. Especially, also add here the Zohar. Could you interpret the Zohar who says that when you sleep you get ruach ra? Can you interpret it that not necessarily at nighttime when you sleep, but also any time that you sleep?
Yes.
Yes, for sure. So now here you have two reasons why you would wash your hand in the morning. One according to the Zohar, and one according to the Rashba. Very nice. So then adds in here Rabbi David Yosef a note. VDD, my friend, Harav Gaon, Rabbi Yisrael Yonah, his friend Rabbi Yisrael Yonah,
58?
88. Amar l'dayek milshon harashba. He wants to analyze something from the language of the Rashba. Shebaboker nasa k'ber chadasha. That only in the morning do you become a new creation. Delo mayri ela ala boker.
That would make sense.
Because it's only talking about the morning. Because what's the Rashba's whole proof text? Dichtiv, it says, Chadashim labkarim Rabbi Munatecha. That in the boker, in the morning, you become a new creation. So how could you possibly use the Rashba to mean that in the middle of the day you would become a new creation?
Okay.
That's what his friend, Rabbi Yisrael Yonah, suggested. What do you say?
Well, he has good evidence.
Right.
Why only in the morning?
Because
Other
there's-
explanation? Why?
because of this bracha we say in the morning. We don't say it in the afternoon. If you take a nap, you don't get to Modeh Ani L'Tanecha Shenishbati Nishmati Chemla Rabba Munatecha when you get up in the afternoon. Unless you're getting it for the first time, you slept all morning till afternoon.
But what is the connection between Modeh Ani and Ruach Ra?
The connection, it's between the fact that the new creation being renewed in the morning, you have to, it's life, it's chai, whereas Ruach Ra is, God forbid, met. It's like associated with, it says sleep is like
Let me
a
explain
small
instead of saying that if you would lose your neshama and get it back in the middle of the day, then probably you would have to say Modeh Ani in the middle of the day. And he's saying because we don't see that happen, so it could be that really we believe that only happens at nighttime.
a different quality of sleep from the spiritual point of view during the day than at night.
I'm hesitant to use Modeh Ani as a proof text, though. Rather to stick to this proof of the rest of Rabbi
You
Yonah.
also say Elokai Neshama Tatati Torah.
Right, it's okay. So then you do that every time you wake up.
Yeah, you don't do it in the afternoon, right?
Well, remember we said that when you say your brachot, you intend them for the whole 24-hour period that you're going to be awake.
24 hour, not just
Right, not
not
ju-
just
exactly.
Boker.
Exactly.
Okay, interesting.
Okay, let's keep reading.
But there's some brachot you do say every time you eat something, every time you use the washroom.
Yes, those brachot are, because those are need-based brachot. You could say the same thing in your logic. It's not wrong. It just seems to be that you could
Just
get
trying
out
to
of
reach
it.
some of this.
Shaz haolam kulo kamim mishnatam v'nasim kibrach hadasha, because in the morning everybody wakes up and becomes a new creation. Umishum hachin, it's because of this logic, katava Bet Yosef, the Bet Yosef himself writes, Bidat HaRashba, in the opinion of the Rashba. He says that according to the Rashba, shafilu lo yashan kol halayla, even if you did not sleep the whole night, yesh levarech b'boker, you still say Al Tilat Yadayim in the morning. Because did you become a new creation? Seems like the Maran understands in the Rashba that every morning you become a new creation.
And going without sleep the whole night seems to be very detrimental to longevity.
So you better make a bracha in the morning then. You made it to the night. ועדיין שייך בזה חדשים לבקרים רבה אמונתך, זה לא פלוג רמנן, our rabbis don't differentiate, מה שאין כן בישן ביום, Whereas a person who sleeps in the morning, in the daytime, most of the world doesn't sleep during the day. And you can't possibly say the whole world becomes a new creation. He's trying to say that the Rashba is only talking about the morning, not about the middle of the day. But in any case, בוודאי שלפי טעמו של הראש, of course, according to the reasoning of the Rosh. Remember why the Rosh says you have to wash your hands? Because maybe, yeah, very nice. Maybe you're touching parts of your body that are not clean. בוודאי שלפי טעמו של הראש, הידיים הזקניות הן, of course, according to the Rosh, that says your hands are busy. There's no reason to differentiate between the daytime sleeping and the nighttime sleeping. Both of them, your hands could be busy. So according to the Rosh, would you wash your hands in the middle of the day when you wake up?
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
According to the same thing.
Yeah.
Same logic.
I have a question for you. It's a slight aside.
Sure.
There was a thing on Facebook about Haredi Kohanim when they go on an airplane.
In a plastic bag.
Yeah.
It's a joke. It was one guy, I don't know why he did it. A plastic bag can't protect you against tumah.
Right.
So I didn't understand why he did it, but
It's not the only one, apparently.
yeah?
It's not the only one, yeah.
There's a picture of a seemingly Haredi guy on the airplane wrapped in a plastic bag.
Oh, so when they fly over, they
That's an old picture. It's been for like 10 years.
Yes,
We're going around.
plastic bag.
Yeah.
He was flying above the.
But can you
Yeah, but a plastic bag wouldn't help.
contract tumor from 30,000 feet?
Can you?
Can you contract tumor at 30,000 feet over a graveyard?
It says in Halakha that Tumah goes up forever. Like up.
Like really?
Yeah.
Like a beam out into space?
Yeah. Like the holiness of the Temple Mount. According to some, you can't even fly over the Temple Mount. Meaning it's from there all the way up. The question is when it says all the way up. How all the way up is all the way up? The question is when you're in an airplane. There are laws of Tumah Tara. I'll give you an example. When we bury somebody in Halakha, in a coffin, let's say. Let's assume we're burying in a coffin. In America, unfortunately, that's what happens. It's not a Jewish tradition. Right, so in the coffin, imagine that this phone is the body. So it lays here in the bottom. In a Jewish coffin, you'll notice, is generally taller than a non-Jewish coffin. The proportions are not, it's narrow, but it's tall. The reason being that
Jewish is taller.
yeah. Tumah goes straight up unless there's a certain amount of space between the body and the top of the coffin which contains the Tumah inside of the coffin. If there's no buffer of air, then the Tumah goes straight up. But if there's an air buffer between the body and the top of the coffin, the laws of Tumah say that this whole thing, the coffin becomes an ohel, like a tent that tents in the entire tumah, but it travels all through the coffin. Which is why, for example, if a person were to pass away in a hospital, Kohanim can't go into that hospital because the whole building of the hospital now becomes one big coffin of tumah.
For what period of time?
Until they remove the body.
But you can't go to hospital anytime. That somebody will be dying anytime.
Well, non-Jew, it's different though.
Well, listen, Kohanim have to ask, I'm not a Kohen, so a Kohen has to ask a rabbi who's a Kohen, knows all the details. I'm telling you from my studying of the Talmud, how these things work.
But it's interesting that something that is, in a sense, non-physical is defined by a physical quality of air
Right.
and space.
There are entire masechtas in the Talmud which talk about the laws of Tumah and Tahara, and they're extremely complicated. One, for the very simple fact that they're not part of our natural working world. We don't really understand how they work. So we're busy studying all the details about them, but not quite grasping the way it works. It's not like water, like air, you can't define it, contain it, bottle it, test it. You can't. It's its own force, which is probably what's so powerful about it. But that's also why we struggle with it. And it's for that reason that most El Al flights carry dead bodies from America to Israel. Most time you fly El Al, you're flying with dead bodies. Almost always.
Most of them.
Yeah. So what they do in El Al, they have a special coffin built by the chief rabbi of Israel that has this Halal, because if it doesn't have this space, so essentially what becomes the coffin?
The whole airplane.
The whole airplane. In which case, all the kohanim in the airplane are now tamei. So Elal developed with the chief rabbinate special coffins. What happens is that because the chief rabbinate developed these coffins, your average Haredi person wouldn't hold of them. Not because they're invalid, but because of politics. So they were petitioning for years, Elal, and Elal finally decided that something along the lines of, from New York to Tel Aviv, they'll always have dead bodies, but from Newark and Philadelphia, they won't carry dead bodies. So Kohanim from New York are always flying from the non-dead body airports.
I mean, New York to Tel Aviv, a direct flight?
I don't remember which one. Yeah, of course. Newark? I don't know.
Direct flight is not all the airports.
Listen, I wasn't telling you as a travel agent. I'm telling you just from what I know, they've been fighting this thing for a while. In any case, a plastic bag wouldn't fit into any of the requirements of saving yourself
and it would have to
from
be
too much.
completely sealed so you couldn't breathe.
Couldn't breathe. I had a feeling the guy was just, afraid of germs. I don't know what to tell you. The whole thing looked strange. But then again, today what happens is people don't study halakha. They come up with all kinds of crazy ideas of how to stay away from things. And
They went 2 or 3 opinions. You may follow one opinion.
yeah, but what's your opinion? It's like you have
No
to ask.
opinions on
So
that.
I was wrapped in the
Plastic bag.
with holes for breath.
That's what Zev was asking. I don't know what to. I don't.
Recycled air.
Oh, I'll find you the picture.
The foil would be better.
Oh, deflected.
When they start selling the bags
Oh,
at the
that
airport,
sounds
we're
good.
really in trouble.
Ebola, you know, these things.
I think there's something a friend of mine posted. Let's see.
Here you go.
Usually from Pro Park, they take the body from the
Wow. That's
Oh, it's in the
It
airline?
looks like he's
You
the
got
dead
it.
one.
Ah, you found it already. You beat me. Oh, it's on Feld Messiah, of course.
Of course. Where else would it be? So
Internet is
They
great.
make us laughing
You
stocks,
can
these
get
people.
it.
it's true. It's true. It's unfortunate. You have to ask which rabbi told someone to fly in a plastic bag. Hashem should save it. So
Yeah, that will laugh.
her parents gave me a bracha the other week. His bracha was Hashem should save you from this, save you from that, save you from this, and save you from Tamilei Chamim that don't know anything. That's that was one of his blessings. The Tamilei Chamim she'enam hagunim, that are not good people. So let's see here further in the note. Umaran Achida, we're 5 lines up from the bottom of the page. Umaran Achida, see that first word in the line? Here he uses Maran as a title of respect, not referring to Maran himself, rather referring to the Chida. The Chida was a famous Moroccan rabbi. His name? Rabbi? Azulai, very good.
He's good with
Rabbi Chaim Yosef David Azulai. This is one of the famous rabbis of Morocco. They have a Sephardic community, a Kabbalist and a Halachist. And very many Sephardim believe that we follow the Chida just as strictly as we follow Maran. I did not ever receive that as a tradition from my parents, but there are such Sephardim that they, whatever the Chida says, that's like funnily enough, there are even some Hasidim. No. Dafka, not Moroccans. Like Iraqis, some other Sephardim. Interestingly enough, some Hasidim follow the Chida, like he's their Rebbe. Yeah. There's one famous Chida Siddur, was put together by an Ashkenazi rabbi. Umaran Chida beVerkei Yosef, and the Chida in his Berkei Yosef. Hevi b'shem Skeno, he brings in the name of his grandfather, who was a big Mikubal, you might have heard his name. HaMahara Azulai, Rabbeinu Avraham Azulai. Yeah, very famous Mikubal. Baal Chesed LaAvraham, he has a book called the Chesed LaAvraham. Those of you who have that Uvalechtecha Baderech application on your phone, inside there's a book, Chesed LaAvraham by Rabbi Avraham Azulai. Shekadav b'Sefer Or HaChama, that he wrote in his book or hachama, the light of the sun, b'shem maharchu. Who's the maharchu? Moreinu harav. I'll give you a hint. Chaim.
Vital.
Very nice. This is the student of the Arizal, Rabbi Chaim Vital. He brings the name of the Rav Chaim Vital, and that's a pretty good source for Kabbalistic literature. Shochiach Melshon Zohar, that he proves from the wording of the Zohar, Degam b'yashen bayom, that even a person who sleeps during the day, ruach ra'ah shora alav, he gets ruach ra'ah on him.
What do you get?
Ruach ra'ah, the ruach ra'ah, the evil spirit rests on him.
On the hands, you have to.
Oh,
That's one of the, so that's a reason for washing after
Yes.
from the nap.
Yes, even though you could prove maybe the Rashba is not like him, but the Zohar, we weren't sure. So he has in his book, in the name of Rabbi Chaim Vital, that the Zohar says that no, you can interpret from the Zohar that even during the day you get ruach ra'ah. V'sheken katav HaMaharam Dilon Zano. I don't have books from Maharam Dilon Zano, but he's quoted often in the Sephardic literature. B'Sefer Derech Chaim, in his book Derech Chaim, also saying that the Zohar is of the opinion that one can get ruach ra'ah during the day just from sleeping. And here is going to be your favorite part of this all. Ready? Ulam, but. Besefer Mikdash Melech al HaZohar HaKadosh. On the commentary Mikdash Melech, which is a commentary on the Zohar, in Parshat Vayishlach, it says, Katav, he writes, Ifcha, the exact opposite, B'Shem HaRav Chaim Vital B'dat Zohar. He says the opposite interpretation. The Rav Chaim Vital said in the name of the Zohar, She'ein ruach ra'ah shora. The ruach ra'ah does not rest on you, Ad shetiyeh shenat laila, until you sleep during the nighttime. So two Kabbalists with two traditions, both from Rav Chaim Vital, the name of the Zohar. One saying you do get ruach ra'ah during the day, one says you don't get ruach ra'ah during the day. V'ken katav b'sefer Tfilah LeDavid, and also it's written in the book Tfilah LeDavid, b'shem Rabbeinu Ha'ari, in the name of the Arizal, the Rabbi of Rabbi Chaim Vital, that during the day you don't get ruach ra'ah in your hands.
That's good.
It's bad enough we have like halachic arguments. Now we have Kabbalistic arguments. What are we supposed to do?
no, daytime sleeping, not sleep. Like that.
Remember I told you about one explanation that fit all cases of Nitilat Yadayim.
Remind me. Sorry.
So that Klippa doesn't have a life source from Borei Olam because it's not connected to Kedusha. It can also suck life from the parts of the body which were alive and become dead.
Dead.
So it
Parts
fits
of the body?
Like fingernails.
anything,
I
anything
see.
that
Okay,
was
okay.
had a life, the kedusha, and then it become dead. So the klipa sucks this leftovers
Right,
kind
right,
of,
right.
of kedusha from this. So and this fits all cases of nitilat yadayim, tameh, everything. Like for example, woman's menstruation, it was part of her body.
Right, it was alive.
And
Producing
it was
an egg.
alive, and it could even bring new life.
Right.
And now it becomes dead, so that's why it's tameh. Or during the night, the neshama leaves the body becomes kind of dead, so klipot suck the leftovers from the body. Or
Well, that's a
like
little different, though, because-
parts of the body that covered, they become sweat. And what is sweat? Sweat is also part of our body before, that now it's a dead thing.
I think it's different, though.
And all cases of Netilat Yadayim fit in this explanation.
But the difference between menstrual blood and fingernails is different than a body that's sleeping, because the body still has life functioning. You're still breathing, your blood's still circulating, your digestion is still working.
He's saying that it got pretty close to death. I guess you could say.
It's like
Yeah,
a,
It's not
1/16
actual death. 1/60th of death means it's still 59/60th of life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's something to suck from.
intellect.
Or for example, nails. Why do we supposed to cut nails short?
Have you
because,
seen this in any source somewhere?
I listened the lecture about that, but I don't remember the sources of that lecture.
It would be
But
interesting
he
to
was
ask this question to
explaining
Mikubal.
beautifully all the cases. He was going through all the cases of Tuma and Nidrat Yadayim and explaining with one this reasoning. And it's very good that there is a logical, reasoning for all cases at
The
once.
thing is, though, like I said, I think the status of a human body that's asleep is different than when you actually separate something from it and off of it. Once the nails are cut, they're no longer part of the body. Once the menstrual blood comes out, it's separated from the body. It no longer has any living status. Your body is still
Well, that's why
alive.
when it's left the body,
Yeah.
woman's body,
Yeah.
woman go to the mikveh and
Yeah.
she's.
But when a person
like
sweats,
new.
they don't
But
go to
it's
the
when
mikveh.
it's still ongoing.
Mhm.
At that time, she's.
We're saying when a person touches their sweat, that we do Kehillat today.
Right.
Same thing with a dead body. If somebody touches dead body, because it was alive and now it's dead.
I would love to see a source for it.
Yeah, it'd be an interesting discussion.
Now you're home.
Do we also hold not to step on the fingernails?
For pregnant ladies.
What is the fingernail?
That pregnant women should not step on fingernails, God forbid, because they can cause miscarriage.
Anybody can step on them.
Because
Otherwise,
again, it was
it's
a part of the body.
And also, I
No,
guess
it's-
in Chabad they burn the fingernails, don't they?
That's a Talmudic rule to burn fingernails.
is?
Yeah. But in
What do we do now? If you flush them down the
Yeah,
toilet,
flush it
that's
down,
okay?
flush it
as
down.
long as the person gets rid of it in a way that's
And
Go.
so what I mean, according to this explanation, sleeping during the day is nothing different than sleeping during the night.
well.
We're having a lot.
Clearly,
of
we're having a big
discussions.
argument about it. I wish it was that simple.
The big Mikubalim are arguing about it. Until then, don't nap during the day. Until we figure it.
Let's keep reading. Uvadayim. I think that
What did you decide? If you take a nap in the middle of the day, you don't
we didn't decide.
Oh.
No,
Moshe Chaim just brought a proof to the opinion of the first opinion in the Zohar, because the daytime is not different than the nighttime in this regard.
And the nap is not a part of discussion, right?
No.
We're talking about sleeping.
Sleeping.
Yeah, rules.
Uvadai, the last line. Uvadai, and of course, linyan halacha, that regarding halacha, yesh lachmir, one should be stringent. Look on the left page on the left side of the page. No, here. The litol yadav achar shanat hayom. One must wash his hands after sleep during the day. Bli birkat antil tadayim, without the blessing of antil tadayim.
Without the blessing.
Yes. Vayen b'ben Ish Chai, and look in the Ben Ish Chai, shekatav, he writes, lehakel ben giyah ba'inayim, uvachotam, uvaoznayim achar shanat hayom. He was lenient regarding touching any of your eyes, your nose, your mouth, all the things that we were strict about during the day. He says by the daytime you don't have to worry about it.
What, nighttime we're strict about it?
Yeah, when you wake up in the morning, we don't touch any of our open
Oh,
orifices.
with unclean hands.
Right.
Okay.
So he says, but the daytime you don't have to be strict about it.
So can we divide who is agree, who disagree?
Yes, we'll
The
in,
camps.
in 1 minute we're going to get there. Ubishum nesvir alei, because he is of the opinion the ein ruach ra'ah shora b'shnat hayom, because ruach ra'ah does not rest during the day. Aval but b'sefer Tosefet Maaseh Rav, there's the additions to the book Maaseh Rav. Maaseh Rav, I wish I would own this book, is a kind of like a halacha and customs of the Vilna Gaon. My wife doesn't like when I quote the Vilna Gaon. They put something in Chasidim's head, like he was like the, I don't know, the
Outcast.
Satan incarnate. I don't know what he is, but Chamanetzan, this Vilna Gaon was one of the giants of Am Yisrael. Not just in Halacha, but also in Kabbalah. The Vilna Gaon is one of the greatest Mekubalim who ever lived on the face of the earth. So yeah, he had a fight with Chasidim. I don't know that if you were the head of mainstream Ashkenazi Jewry, and you saw a movement like the Hasidim, that you would be quiet. I don't know. I would love to say that if I was the Vilna Gaon, I would have the foresight to see that, oh, Hasidim are good, they're a legitimate group, but I don't know that I would, because the evidence against them was pretty compelling.
They create the evidence.
What?
They create the evidence.
Some created evidence and some didn't. There were a lot of very crazy Hasidim in the early years of Hasidut.
Crazy in our group too.
What?
Crazy people in every camp.
Every group, but this is the first time you had organized crazies.
Does the Baal Shem Tov actually have Sfarim that are attributed to him?
There is something called the Baal Shem Tov al HaTorah.
I've seen some.
Definitely didn't write it, but students of his, things they heard from him on the Torah. My wife would know the answer to this question better than I. But what I'm trying to share is like this: the Vilna Gaon is no bad person, not at all. There's a story. Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Berdichev. He was a big Hasidic rabbi, Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Berdichev. And he, on the third day of Cholam of Sukkot, he would always do a yortzeit for the Vilna Gaon. It's like, Rabbi Levi, it's like, he loved everybody in the world. But like, come on, there's a limit to how much you could love somebody whose whole life made your life miserable. And Rabbi Levi Yitzchak said that he was in Gan Eden, he was in the Bedin Shalmala when the Vilna Gaon passed away. He said he writes in the back. If you look in the back of Rabbi Lieder has in the library of the Chabad, you see one edition of the Kedushat Levi of Rabbi Yitzchak Berdichev. It has the story in the back. So it's a horrendous print, but it has in the back the story. Rav Levi Yitzchak said that when he watched the Vilna Gaon come into HaShamayim, immediately they opened up the gates of Gan Eden and they let him in. They said, a person like this, we don't touch him. And out of the gates of Gan Eden came all of the Baal Shem Tov students. And said, wait a second. His whole life he chased us, he persecuted us, he fought us, he excommunicated us. If it wasn't for him, we would learn so much more Torah, we'd be so much more successful. You have to take him to trial. The Bedin Shamal agreed, they were going to put him on trial. They took the Vilna Gaon to trial. The Vilna Gaon.
Heavenly courts.
And they asked him, why'd you do it? He said, Hashem is my witness that everything I did was L'Shem Shamayim. I felt this was a sincere, genuine threat to my community, and I did everything I could to stop it, like any other Talmid Chacham would do. And they were deliberating between the students of Baal Shem Tov and the Vilna Gaon, and immediately the Rav Levi Yitzchak says, the Sefer Torah flew out of Gan Eden and wrapped herself around the Vilna Gaon and said, somebody who his whole life spent studying me, you're not going to touch him. And escorted him straight into Gan Eden. As Rav Levi Yitzchak said, if they already decided in the Bedin Shalmana that the students of the Baal Shem Tov and the Vilna Gaon can make peace, so who am I to keep fighting? And so every year he would do a yortzeit for the Vilna Gaon. Interestingly enough, the Vilna Gaon student, Rabbi Chaim of Volozhin, was the first to allow Hasidim into the yeshiva of Volozhin. This is the student of the Vilna Gaon, the main student. The son of Rav Chaim of Volozhin is a Rabbi Yitzchak Volozhin, who was the first Lithuanian rabbi to join forces with a Hasidic rabbi. Rav Yitzchak of Volozhin joined with the Mittler Rebbe of Chabad to fight the Reform movement together. And that alliance lasted for their whole life. The two of them fighting against their third enemy. And so, it's something to see people still fighting fights. A long time ago we solved these problems from these fights. You don't have to keep fighting them today. You're not helping anybody with a mitzvah with this. So it says in this book of the Vilna Gaon, the Hagara, the Vilna Gaon, they say at 6 years old, was already building a golem. And not a simple person.
A what?
A golem, I don't know how you say it, golem.
Clay.
A robot. Like a Frankenstein.
Exactly.
Artificial intelligence.
Hagara, chmir me'od bazeh. This is the Vilna Gaon was very strict about this. She'im naga b'dvar ma'achal achar shnat hayom, that if a person touches food after sleeping during the day without washing his hands, asur otar ma'achal, you're not allowed to eat that food, afilu b'diavad, even b'diavad. Usvir alei la'agran, so obviously you see from the Gemara, does he hold that during the day you get ruach ra or not?
He does.
He does. The b'shanat hayom, shora ruach ra, that during the day we have a ruach ra. So let us make a chart. Who's on the side that you have ruach ra during the day? Who's on the side you don't have ruach ra during the day? On the side of having ruach ra during the day, you have Maran, Rabbi Yosef Cairo, in the opinion of the Rashba. He says, according to the Rashba, you also become a new creation during the day. Maybe. You have the Rosh, saying maybe you touch a part of your body, also you would have a ruach ra. His definition of ruach ra is a dirty hand. That would also be a reason in the morning to wash your hands. So you have the Rashba according to Maran and the Rosh. You also have here. You also have here the Chida. Rabbi Chaim Yosef David Azulai. In the name of who? His grandfather, Rabbi Avram Azulai. In the name of Rabbi Chaim Vital. In the name of the Zohar. The Chida says that Ruach Ra happens during the day. And you have the Vilna Gaon. The Vilna Gaon says Ruach Ra happens during the day. So you have Maran and the Rashba, the Rosh, the Chida in the Rav Chaim Vital, in the Zohar, and the Vilna Gaon. On the other hand, on the other team, you have Rabbi Yisrael Yonah, this rabbi that Rabbi David Yosef is quoting, in the name of the Rashba, that only in the morning you get Ruach Ra. You have the Mikdash Melech in the name of the Zohar, the Tfilah of David in the name of the Arizal, and the Ben Ish Chai, who seem to say that Ruach Ra does not happen during the day. It's a pretty tough lineup.
First count is
The name game. I personally think that the Chida and the Vilna Gaon are pretty big guns. But the Ben Ish Chai is not a little gun, so what do I say? Wash your hands with that bracha. There's enough reason. Yeah, enough reason to do it.
Sleep in the daytime?
Yeah.
That's one.
The Ma said that's what I do. I always did, even before I knew this halacha. When I was younger, I always woke up in the daytime and did that today. But someone who's lenient has who to rely on. Because at the end of the day, and the Ramah, obviously, the Ramah says that one does Netilat Yadayim without a blessing. So add him to the list of people we want to have on our side. Okay, this next halakha is an interesting halakha. What do we do with it? I don't know what to tell you what we do with it, but we're going to do it anyways. The top of 89. David, who's David? Okay, yeah, David HaMelech, very nice. Hayanizhar was very careful, Shelo Lishon, not to sleep. Shitin Nishameh. Perush Shishim Nishimot, 60 breaths. Kedei Shelo Yitom Tam Mitah, so he will not taste the taste of death.
He only slept up to 60 breaths, which is about, let's see,
60
3
breath.
minutes maybe?
So we're going to see exactly.
Well, I don't understand this.
In other words, he would not let his eyes close for more than a few minutes, 60 breaths, so he wouldn't taste death. That's Ruach Ra and rest time. Makes you feel tired just thinking of that. Wake up.
Wake up.
Let's go. 60 breath.
That's a tzaddik.
The Rama adds a note, Haga. Uva Gemara in the Talmud, Masechet Sukkah, Perek Hayashen, and page 26b. Mashma, it's apparent from there, the Dafka Bayom Hayanizar, that specifically in the daytime, he was careful.
Oh,
At night he slept, but in the daytime,
This
he
is for
didn't.
the only special high caliber people, not for everybody. Right?
how it works.
Some top people, not normal people, ordinary people.
We'll see now. Let's say you can ask for the Rama. Does Maran intend to say also that only during the day you can't sleep 60 breaths? Or from Maran's language does it seem like all the time you can't sleep? Or David HaMelech didn't sleep 60 breaths?
He doesn't want to
I
sleep.
mean, is the Rama explaining Maran, or is he arguing with Maran?
It's hard to say.
What?
It's hard to say.
Why?
So, are there any source for this tradition in Talmud? That,
It's in the Talmud.
David HaMelech was very active.
so
at
what
night,
says Talmud?
playing his harp.
What?
What says Talmud?
Rama says it seems like in the Talmud it was talking about the daytime. Only the daytime. King David was careful not to sleep. So I'm asking you a question. Is the Rama explaining Maran, meaning Maran meant to say that King David was careful during the day? Or is he arguing Maran, saying Maran made a mistake? It's not all the time he didn't sleep. Only during the day he didn't sleep more than 60 breaths.
Well, it seems like Moran, if he meant just during the day, he would have said that. It's a pretty big thing to leave
So
out.
you could say that Maran, if he meant to say only during the day, he would have written that.
So why can't we just read original source, the Talmud? What it say there?
Because it could be that Maran is reading the original source differently than we're reading the original source.
Oh, at least we would know.
It seems like in the original source it meant only during the day. But Maran doesn't say that. So it seems like the Rama is arguing with Maran.
Maran doesn't have any opinion about sleeping in the daytime.
Well, he says about sleeping in general that King David was careful about sleeping more than 60 breaths. The question is, the Rama arguing when he says only during the day? Or is he explaining Maran when he says only during the day? So we see Yosef's side, which is, it seems like you could say that he's arguing, because if Maran wanted to say the daytime, he would have said the daytime. Give me a proof that Maran is only talking about the daytime. Why did Maran say again daytime? I just gave you an
Because from the beginning, he was talking about daytime. We're finished. with
Very
the
nice.
night.
From the beginning, Maran is saying someone who sleeps. Oh, sorry. Someone who sleeps during the day has to wash his hands without a bracha. But the next halakha, so Maran is saying, and King David was careful not to sleep more than 60 breaths.
So
Maybe he's assuming
it's
I'm still talking about the daytime.
Yeah.
I mean, here you can find a way to make peace between the Rama and Maran. Yeah?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Very good.
Okay.
But you're going to see that both of you are right. There are two different ways to interpret Maran. Says Rabbi David Yosef in Halakha Memchet. Chazal Amu, a rabbi say al David HaMelech alav shalom, about King David alav shalom. Well, it seems like in Ashkenazi literature, normally they say alav shalom for a lady. Aleh shalom, they say. And for a man, they say zichrono livracha. By the Sfaradim, most of the big tzaddikim would say alav shalom.
They say what?
Alav HaShalom, peace be unto him. I don't know where that differentiation came about, but I remember when people would see Ayin Hey, they would always assume it was a lady. Not by Sfaradim. By Ashkenazim, though, it seems to be accurate. Probably because in the original Zayin Lamed, it says Zichrono, his memory should be a blessing. So they figured there would be a different term they would use for ladies. We actually write Ayin Hey before our name, not after our name. Living people. This means Eved Hashem, the servant of Hashem. It's a good thing. You write your name, to write Ayin Hey before your name. Someone sees you, they're going to think you're dead, but
So if you're alive, you write your name
before your name.
before your name.
Not after. After means they're dead. But
Yeah.
before the name, it means Eved Hashem, the servant of Hashem.
Huh.
You have it in your book.
If Peretz has on his Haskama, my book, he writes Ayin Hey before his name,
Uh-huh.
Eved Hashem. He's a real Eved Hashem. We're just faking.
Do you write your name that way?
Yeah, I'll show you.
We're trying.
Okay, I'm faking. You're trying.
Is it only Sephardim that do that?
Specifically Moroccan Jews that do it. So also, I wrote Ayin Hey.
Right, Junior. No, okay.
I remember seeing
Yeah, it's an important thing to do. To say you're an Eved Hashem. First, before your name, you're first a servant of Hashem.
Oh,
That's there's a song they sing in the yeshiva world. We say in the Brich Shemay, we say Ana Avda de Kucha Brichu. I am a servant of Hashem. So there's a Ana Avda de Kucha Brichu, and they say Ana. I am a servant of Hashem. I once had a rabbi. He would sing it Ana Avda, avda, avda. The Kuchabrichu. I am a servant of Hashem. Meaning, stop saying I am. Don't talk about yourself so much. Talk about HaKadosh Baruch Hu a little bit more. It's an interesting thing. It's a little bit of hachana'at to Hashem. It's not a bad thing. Like Aleinu l'shabech. People, they bow. It's like that. Like they're nodding to Hashem. What are you saying, Aleinu l'shabech? Hashem is the ruler of the whole world, and we are lucky to be His servants. So a person should bow. As far as he can bow, he should bow in Aleinu l'shabech. And the Beit Knesset, I bow with my body. When we pray at home, like Avavam and Arambam, we bow down on the floor, on the carpet, but not on the stone floor, on the carpet. Okay, we're at the end of the day, we're proud to be servants of Hashem, so that should be a title for us. Eved Hashem, that should be what we're proud to be called. Exactly. So let's see here. So David HaMelech Alav Shalom, Shayan Nizhar, he was careful, Shelo Lishon, not to sleep, יותר מ-60 נשימות בפעם אחת, more than 60 breaths in one shot. כדי שלא יטעם טעם של מיתה, so you should not taste the taste of death. ויש אומרים, and some say, שדווקא ביום היה דוד המלך נזהר בזה. That specifically during the day, King David was careful about this.
Careful about
not sleeping more than 60 breaths. Yeah.
During the day.
V'yesh omrim, that's the Ramah, by the way. The Ramah says that in the name of the Talmud. V'yesh omrim, and some say sha'af balayla haya nizhar b'zeh, that even at nighttime he was careful about it. Are you ready for the names who hold this opinion?
Yes.
Let's go down to the Rashi script, the last paragraph in Rashi script. The Kuf Tet. You see the last bold in Rashi script? Yeah. Ken muchach lehedya bazar kadosh. This is obvious in the Zohar Kadosh that it was talking also during the day. V'chen hesig b'zeh Magen Avraham. V'chen katav Maran Bet Yosef. Maran also says, also during the day. There goes our theory of why he didn't say day, because he already said day before. Clearly, Maran himself holds that during the day you're not allowed to sleep. Or David HaMelech didn't sleep. V'chen hesig b'zeh Magen Avraham, and Divrei Ramah, and Magen Avraham argued with the Ramah about this. V'ayen b'yad Aaron, look at the Yad Aaron, shekatav de'ashev Divrei Ramah. He tried to answer for the Ramah why he said that. Umaran Achida b'Berkei Yosef, and our Rabbi the Chida and the Berkei Yosef, turn the page to 90 in the middle left, the Rashi script. B'Shem Harav Batei Kuna, in the name of the Rabbi Batei Kuna, V'chen Ber Heitev, and also the Ber Heitev, Katav Itchot Varam. Disproved the proof for the Ramah. U'v'sefer Zachor LaAvraham, in the book Zachor LaAvraham, Katav De'ashev Divrei Yad Aaron. He comes to help the guy who was defending the Ramah. V'ayen od b'zeh b'Bigdei Yesha, and look also in the book Bigdei Yesha, B'Pri Megadim, and the Eshel Avram, and the Arzot HaChaim, and the Eretz Yehuda. Look at all these sources and what they have to say about it. Technically, we have a fight over here between Maran and the Ramah. Maran says during the day King David also was careful about it, and Ramah is right. According to the Talmud, it seems like only at night. But according to the Zohar, it seems like King David was careful about it also during the day.
Also,
at night and during the day.
How could he sleep during the night if he's... I mean, doesn't make sense.
Let's look at footnote Chavav, in the page 89, in the middle left. Do you see Chavav? 89, in the middle left. Yeah.
Yeah.
Chavav. Inyan Shenat David HaMelech, regarding the sleep of David HaMelech. Shelo haya yashen, he did not sleep, yoter, more, mishenat asus, more than the horse sleeps. And he measured that a horse sleeps no more than 60 breaths at a time.
Really?
Horses sleep pretty well?
Yeah.
Huh?
Can we Google it?
Horses sleep? I've never seen horses.
Well, horse has a certain, I don't know the English term for this, the knee and the elbow.
The joint.
The joint. They have special joints. Then when she stay on it, it locks to the other side.
Oh, right,
She
like
can-
out, like, right.
Yeah. So horse can fully sleep without failing or anything.
So how long is a typical horse sleep?
But not 60, but for sure.
More, a lot more.
Yeah,
That's real horse sense.
yeah.
It says a horse sleeps about 3 hours on average a day.
It's not personal, right?
Must be 60 very slow breaths.
Uh,
Now, they're talking about consecutive sleep. Maybe they come up and they go back again. Is that considered to be not sleeping through? I mean, we have to look at technical.
Let's ask Rabbi Google.
Rabbi Google.
Authority.
Do we know the place in the Talmud where it's?
They did
Yeah,
give
in
a
the
couple
Talmud
sources.
Masechet Sukkah.
Let's see what it says. Because it's the easiest way. So which one?
Have it this. Give me the nicer one. In the top right. Oh, don't go to that. Back to the side. Top right of the bookcase. Top right. Yeah. On the right side, you see there's a bunch of red books. There should be a thin one that says Sukkah on it. Not so thin, like a medium thin.
That was 10 breaths.
Oh, I'm glad you come.
Okay. You're disturbing him.
Yeah, one of those should say Sukkah. Probably in the bottom, like half of the book, it should say Sukkah. It says Talmud Bavli on the top, and the middle, and the bottom, it should say Sukkah.
What's the connection with the horse? I mean, why is the horse the standard?
That's what just talking about.
We're gonna see now. That's what we're gonna look at. Top right. Do you see one that says Sukkah?
Arabian horse.
Really wedged in there.
Sorry, guys. Take out one of the thick books. There you go.
What is this?
It's at night when the lights go out. It's a flashlight. It's a night light, and during blackouts, you pull it out and it's an emergency light.
Practical.
Yeah. It's happened when your dad is an engineer.
Really?
Hey, don't look at my tests over here, guys. They're all 11th grade. Wow. I took such nice notes in 11th grade. Look at that. What page did we say? 26B, right?
Micro print.
Interesting. Here, oh no. Here the Talmud says Asur la'adam, not the King David. The person is not allowed to sleep more than 60 breaths in a day.
In a day.
During the day?
In a day or
During a day or during the day?
One day.
So 24 hours?
Yeah. No. Daytime. I'm talking about daytime. I think it will be daytime. We are tired. I discussed about daytime sleeping.
Can't be that.
Let's look at some of our commentaries that might help us
Not
out.
in library. That's good.
Oh, here's the. David the king is careful not to sleep.
Thank you.
Deep breaths in order to not.
Let's not put on the chumash.
So, and then the law says that it was only during the day.
Just to bring a little aside on this.
Yeah, sure.
If someone is at the level of a true tzaddik,
So it's a question of whether
that
it's all
they,
day.
it's
and
like,
sleep
you know, we have
breaths or just during the day.
people who say that they didn't die. You know, they just moved to another state. But these people who had conquered sleep, so they can conquer death? You know, it's a big question.
Interesting question. When it says that they didn't die, it doesn't actually mean they didn't die. There's no such thing as a tzaddik who doesn't die. No such thing. It's a fallacy. Eliyahu Navi didn't die because the Torah tells us he didn't die. The Talmud asks, how do you say Yaakov Avinu didn't die? He says he did die. Of course he died. We know where he's buried. He said rather, what it means he didn't die is he had children who continued his way. And when someone has a children that continue in their path, it's like they're alive even when they're dead. And so that's how we permit ourselves to say David Melech Yisrael Chai V'Kayam. We still, because we keep up the path of David Melech. We're still doing it. But the literal understanding that tzaddik doesn't die. I can show you many graves of many tzaddikim. They're not alive anymore. But this idea of also conquering sleep, it's not a must that a tzaddik has to be sleep deprived. It's not a must. Actually, there were many tzaddikim that took a very different approach. You must sleep as much as you need to be healthy. This is not a level that you do so you deprive yourself. Rather, there are some people that, as they get greater, they also receive certain what we call kachot hanefesh, spiritual powers, ability to do things that other people may not physically find possible. Like I told you on Shabbat, there was a rabbi who had a surgery while he was studying Torah because he didn't feel pain. Yeah, but it doesn't mean that if you feel pain in the middle of a surgery, you're not a tzaddik. All it means is that there are different people with different kachot hanefesh. Just like the Vilna Gaon slept 2 hours a day in a 24-hour period.
They say the
In
Rabbi also.
30-minute increments. So 30 minutes at a time. To counteract him, the Chavetz Chaim slept 8 hours a night. And he said that's how you should do it. Rav Peretz once told me that somebody who tries to do like the Vilna Gaon, and it's not for him, they said, we'll give din and cheshbon after he passes away for ruining his health.
That's what happened to someone very close to me. He tried to emulate the Rebbe, not sleeping more than a couple hours a night. God forbid you really.
Well, not everyone's the Rebbe. That's the thing. That's the problem. When everyone tries to be like someone who they're not, it should be you. And self-awareness is very important to Judaism. Let's see. They sent me to this halakha. Reish Lam Nevav Lecha Aleph. But what does this have to do with anything? Reish Lam Aleph halakha Aleph. That's what it has to do.
So you ended up back in Shulchan
In a different place. What is this? Okay, I'm going to read to you what Maran says here. Here he's talking about King David. Why he's talking about here King David, and he doesn't say this halakha where we are right now in Shulchan Aruch? I don't know how to tell you. I'm sure someone here asked the question. But I'm going to read to you and translate to you. Says Maran, "Ini afshar lo lilmod." If a person is unable to study Torah, below shenat hatzarayim, without sleeping in the afternoon, you should sleep. Oh, and adds in here the Rama, in the name of Maran, "Uchsheneor mishnato ein tzarich levarech Elohai neshama." And when he wakes up, he doesn't have to say Elohai neshama. Maybe you could use this back as a proof where we are right now.
Interesting.
There's a verse that says, Divrei Torah ashirin b'makom acher. The words of Torah are richer when you compare them to somewhere else.
Yeah.
V'yesh omrim, shekra kodem shishan v'hi noam. The Kolbo says before you go to bed, you should say v'hi noam. Okay, interesting. That's the Ramah. He interjects for a second. Says Maran, so you could sleep in the afternoon if you need in order to learn, to function. Uvilvad, but as long shelo ya'arich bada, you don't have such a long nap. Shasur lishon bayom yoter mishenat hasus. Because you're not allowed to sleep in the day more than a horse sleeps.
Long.
Shehu shitin neshameh, which is 60 breaths.
What time you can set the alarm clock? Half an hour,
He says you can't sleep more than the 60 breaths, like a horse. V'af bazeh me'at, and even with this little bit, lo tehei kavanato la'anat gufo. It shouldn't be so a person should have pleasure in his body. El lachzik gufo la'avdat Hashem dvarach, so that rather he should be strong to serve Hashem.
But for sure he's talking about daytime. Right?
The original
Yeah,
paragraph.
I think it's still in the daytime sleeping.
But of course, there's different ages and different body types. Right?
Generalized statement.
Like I was reading a Chinese medical book
Oh.
that asks, written 1800 years ago, why do older people have difficulty sleeping at night and it's easy for them to sleep in the day? And it explains why. So younger people sleep well at night, don't need to sleep in the day.
They sleep in the daytime, they cannot sleep nighttime.
Right, they sleep better in the daytime than the
No,
nighttime.
they sleep better at night, but they sleep daytime. The best thing is don't sleep daytime, they can
My
sleep.
mother only needs like 3-4 hours of sleep at night, but she naps during the day. She's 92. I think a lot of older people are.
I don't know about that.
So Talmud says about anybody, but about daytime, right?
Yeah, another, you brought up
Where
that
was
question.
talk?
Yes. Yes.
Guess what?
He's right. The Gemara, where this halakha is coming from, it doesn't make a difference that King David was careful not to sleep in the day or the night. But here, this Talmud and the Shulchan Aruch is only talking about the daytime, not about the nighttime.
Yeah, the whole class is daytime.
But I understand that, but why is the horse used as a measure?
It could be a measurement that people were familiar with, like the size of an olive, the size of an egg. It could be something that people measured time with. That's my best guess that I can give you. And we have to look where else do we use horses to measure time. I'm getting a few more books from the bookshelf.
We didn't have digital time then. Time was measured in a totally different way.
But Talmud doesn't say that horse sleep is 60 breaths.
Why are you saying it doesn't?
It just says
Well, it's just using a horse. What the translation is David the king was careful not to sleep 60 breaths. And then the translation of what he just read is that the horse, you can't sleep more than what a horse sleeps. And that's 60 breaths, I guess.
Can you bear with me for a few minutes? You don't have to be quiet. We can talk about this.
The table's getting warmed up.
Let's start first place first. Let's see what the Mishnah Berurah has to say about where we're. I'm looking up. See, what I'm doing is these are 3 different sets. I'm looking up where we are in Siman Dalet versus where I am now in Reish Lamed Aleph in the halakha that I just read for you from the Shulchan Aruch, and seeing what do they both translate 60 breaths to be in both of those places. So I'm going to the Mishnah Berurah from the Chavetz Chaim, the Aruch HaShulchan from Rabbi Yechiel Michael Epstein, and the Kaf HaChaim of Rabbi Chaim Sofer. So let's do this together.
You
One
need to
second.
get the rabbi, a librarian assistant, pick out books and put
I
them
already
away.
chose Mordechai Chaim. Look. Put them away is the hard part. That makes my wife proud of me.
I only wanted to know what Talmud says. I didn't.
Yeah, but the Talmud took us somewhere else. Let's see what the Mishnah Berurah.
Yeah. I was thinking of getting
The Mishnah Berurah seems to understand. The Mishnah Berurah seems to understand that David HaMelech also during the nighttime was careful not to sleep more than 60 breaths. He kind of dozed in and out of sleep until midnight, and that's when he woke up. And
Where does it say
And
that?
in the Mishnah Berurah.
Really?
okay, let's
Those are the words of the Chavetz Chaim.
Chavetz Chaim. Let's see what the Chavetz Chaim though says for all people, like now, like us.
The real question is why is it even mentioned in the middle of this? Because this is all about what everyone should be doing and not
What King David did.
Yeah.
And if anything, what we're reading now in Reish Lamed Aleph, later on in Shulchan Aruch, if you want to quote King David, at least quote this halakha here also. Don't wait until the end of the day to quote this halakha for us. I'm going to try to figure this all out with us. Let's see. Okay, the Mishnah Berurah just said that it also meant during the day, not during the night, not just during the day, by King David, not by normal people. Let's see something. No, nothing to say. Let's see what the Kaf HaChaim says. Kaf HaChaim is Rabbi Chaim Sofer, Rabbi Yaakov Chaim Sofer. He is like a Sephardic Mishnah Berurah on the first part of Shulchan Aruch. Could be learned to something here. He seems to understand 60 breaths to be a Kabbalistic term, not a halakhic term.
What exactly actual time? Regular clock time, 60 breaths.
Right, like what? How, that's what I'm trying to figure. How long is it?
Yeah.
And I mean, if it's 3 minutes, like you said, then what's the point of even going to sleep?
Right.
Of course, it's a human breath as opposed to a horse breathes at a different rate than a human does. Also.
But it's 60 human breaths,
Oh, okay.
which seems to be the sleep of a horse. If you could interpret as 60 horse breaths, and you say that a horse breathes very, very slow.
The horse isn't in the Shulchan Aruch, that's only a commentary on it. Right?
No, it's in there.
I thought that what you're reading.
Oh no, from the Shulchan Aruch in chapter 4 in Dalet,
Yeah,
he doesn't mention the horse.
there's no horse
No.
there.
Yeah, passing around.
The horse was missing over there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
passing
I
around.
know, we're horsing around. Say,
Not even kosher.
never say nay.
Shouldn't sleep immediately after you eat.
That's a health gain, right?
Yeah.
That's what the Rambam says.
Half an hour, minimum half an hour.
It talks about rubbing your stomach after eating and then walking 500 or more steps.
Just half an hour is okay. That's right, understood.
Yeah. Huh. Let me read some of that according to Kabbalah. He said, "Asur lishon bayom." That which you say you can't sleep during the day. Ki hashena balayla hi tova umuchrachat. Because the sleep at night is a good sleep and a necessary sleep. V'hashana b'yimei achol, and sleeping during the day, especially weekdays, tova l'rashayim, is good for evil people. V'ra'a el tzadikim, and is bad for the righteous people. Zulati, except im yeh eze tzadik gamur gadol shabdoro. Unless he's some giant tzaddik of the whole generation, then there's something special about him sleeping during the week. Aval hashena b'yom Shabbat, but sleeping on the day of Shabbat, hi tova el tzadikim, it is good for tzadikim. Ki ein davar ra sholil b'yom Shabbat, because nothing bad has control during the day of Shabbat. Ve'en chashash yafsid eze ibur nishmat tzadik al dei hashena. I don't even know how to translate this. And there's no chance that he's going to miss this. Something that happens to the soul of a tzaddik while they sleep. ואדרבה, אפשר שירוויח וימשיך עמו איזה עיבור נשמה צדיק. Could be הפוך, it's better to sleep for a tzaddik to sleep on Shabbat. ולכן נכון הדבר לישון ביום השבת אחר האכילה. It's good to sleep on Shabbat after you have your meal. Obviously not right after against Shulchan Aruch, but after, meaning in the afternoon.
After Sholem.
וכך היה נוהג האריזל. And this is the custom of the Arizal. The Arizal would sleep after Shabbat lunch. לישון ביום שבת אחר האכילה. שיעור ב' וג' שעות. Sometimes 2 or 3 hours he would sleep after his lunch break. כי אדרבה זהו מכלל עונג שבת, because this is included in the category of enjoying the Shabbat. This is all found in the Shaar Kavanot that was written from you, the book of Chaim Vital.
But I think Talmud says that Talmid Chacham not allowed to sleep on Shabbat. during the day.
If you find it for me, I don't remember that.
Because he's supposed to study all the time.
Right, well, it says it's supposed to study. Lo nitnu yamim tovim l'Israel, except for studying Torah. But there's something that Musar Askem. If people would listen to me in our community, I'm not complaining now, you're not my board. If people would listen to me, I don't really have a board. If people would listen to me, at 8 o'clock in the morning, you would pray Shacharit and Shabbat. I know it sounds crazy for some people, 8 o'clock in the morning. And you would finish Tefillah. It takes us 2.5 hours to pray on Shabbat. 11:30, 11:45, we're finished praying when we start at 9. We start at 8. First of all, it's something special. It's like a day, it's a new day, it's an early day, it's a fresh day. You'd finish praying at around 10:30, 10:45. Even if you wanted to stay for Kiddush for an hour, you'd finish at 11:45, 11:30. You'd come home, you'd be able to eat a little bit of salads, fish, whatever you eat on Shabbat afternoon. Take a break, and you'd be able to rest a little bit, spend time with your family a little bit. You have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours sometimes till Mincha. Then you come back to Mincha. That's why you eat again Sudash Tashit. That's why you eat again by Malav Malka, because there's space in the day. Today, you find yourselves, it's 9 o'clock in the morning we come to pray. 11:45 we sit down for Kiddush, we eat again. 12:30, 12:45 you come home by 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, I finish my meal, 3:45, I come to because it's 4 o'clock. It's absurd. That's not the way Shabbat is supposed to look. Shabbat is Minucha. Minucha is a good thing for Shabbat. We have to have more space, more time on the Shabbat. People, they think they gain so much by starting late on Shabbat morning. They lose so much starting late on Shabbat morning.
Evidently, they have a Hashkama service early.
It's a new thing I heard.
Yeah.
What time?
Start at 7:50.
I would pray with them.
It's calm
But
night.
it's too fast.
Too fast.
Yeah.
Is there a rabbi that prays to them?
Well, everybody thinks they're a rabbi.
Oh, I don't know. I don't want to get into shul politics, but if there's a minyan without a rabbi, don't ever pray.
What I mean is they have people who are learned. They're not rabbis. Well, there's one guy. No,
Guys, the rabbi of the shul. Does he pray at the 7:50 minyan?
No,
You don't pray in a minyan where the rabbi isn't, because inevitably they'll cut corners. They'll pray fast. Normal people don't pray when the same as they pray when there's a rabbi in the room.
Well, he allows the Hashkama thing to exist.
That's okay. I'm not arguing on a shul policy,
Yeah.
but I'm saying as policy in tefillah, it's much better to pray in a synagogue with a rabbi than a synagogue without a rabbi.
No question.
Because the rabbi paces tefillah. He paces Shemona Esrei. He takes his amount of time. Other people, they pray like they're flying in a rocket ship. I don't know, they just want to end. They don't want to enjoy the tefillah.
I agree with you.
And so it's a problem. It's a problem. But what do we see here? We see that Arizal slept how many hours in Shabbat? 2 to 3 hours.
3-4 hours. You sleep again. I don't know.
And then he says again here, he says that which you said you can't sleep during the day, that's specifically when you sleep at night, all that you need to sleep. But if you were awake at night studying Torah, you're allowed to sleep in the day a little bit, and every person knows how much they need in order, teva habriut, in order to have health in their own body. And also if a person wants to stay awake the whole night, they know, let's say it's the evening of Shavuot, you know you want to stay up the whole night. A person is allowed to sleep the day before, so he'll have koach in that night. And he gives a few examples from the Talmud about this. He said, in any of that thing that we said before, that the neshama of the tzaddik may be damaged by sleeping during the week, he said it's obvious that if a tzaddik is sleeping during the day to learn Torah at night, so that would not damage his neshama. I remember once speaking to our parents about it. So the people, they stay up the whole night learning the Shavuot, and in the day they sleep from the morning until the nighttime. They miss lunch, they miss coming back to synagogue, they don't pray shacharit with kavanah. He said, so what do they gain from staying up all night long? He said, they lost from staying up all night long. He said, priorities of Judaism would tell us, it's better to be awake in the day, to be sleeping at night, to have structure the way the world has structure. And tzaddikim in general don't go with the rhythm of the world. They're generally doing other things. But for us, people, normal people, it would be healthy for us not to try to be the ones staying up all night studying Torah and in the morning sleeping. And it's better for us to run our lives like normal people and then to continue. I'm going to do some more research in this topic and we'll leave my book. I didn't get to do the Aruch HaShulchan yet, but God willing,
So could you answer the question about why King David is mentioned here? I mean, what is the reason?
Nobody's talking about it. It could be, my guess is, remember the previous halakha? We mentioned about sleeping like a nap. That page in the Talmud in Sukkah where it talks about what is the definition of a nap is the same page where it mentions King David not sleeping more than 60 breaths. So it could be like many Jewish texts. Once you start somewhere, you kind of just finish off that thought. That's all I could say for right now, but I'm going to look into it.
Maybe he talking about regular people all the time.
Yeah.
Now he mentions King David, so we understand that this is not regular practice.
Yeah, but why does it have to
Tzaddik. It's David HaMelech who did that.
Right.
So if we want to kind of grow...
But later in Shulchan Aruch, he says that a person can't sleep during the day more than 60 breaths, seemingly like David HaMelech. So I have two questions. One is, why does he mention David HaMelech here? And two, if he's already mentioned King David, why doesn't he mention that halakha for everybody with a practical ramification here? I'll tell you, I have to say thank you to all of you. You made me use a lot of my books that I don't normally pull out from my bookcase. I've spent in the last few years almost all of every penny that my savings have on books. I tell you, this set of Shulchan Aruch, I went to go buy it. And I remember my father said, Yoni, why would you buy books for so much money? I said, but for you need a computer. Are you a computer programmer? Without a computer, so you don't operate, you don't function. So me, without Shulchan Aruch, it's like, you took away my computer. I mean, what am I going to do with that?
You're right.
A set of Shulchan Aruch, though, like that edition, it has Shulchan Aruch and the Torah. And that's like 13 volumes. It costs about $700. I don't have $700 floating around like that. But I said, normally they sit on my shelf, and I learn halachot, I learn this halakha, that halakha. You're the only people who ask questions that make me open up like 6 different books to figure out what the halakha is. So that's why you're here, Baruch Hashem. You pushed me to learn things that normally would just be sitting on my shelf for a little bit.
I want to make a point here. It's that I know there are people who think that, well, if I don't sleep more than this, I'm like King David, but you aren't, really. Because a tzaddik is at a whole different level. But there are people who actually believe that, and I've seen people who really pay big price for people.
Do you remember what I told you in the beginning of this? When we spoke about Hasidim once, I told you the danger that I saw in Hasidim. Hasidim revolve around a tzaddik. A tzaddik is a person, especially when you're talking about these Hasidic masters, who was head and shoulders above the world, above people, above everything. And it used to be like this, a tzaddik, he does certain things that only tzaddikim do. But all of a sudden, we expect every boy when he turns 13 to be living his life like his Rabbi, who's a tzaddik. And that's not a healthy way to push people. I mean, first you have to become a 13-year-old, then a 14-year-old, then a man, then a married man, then and B'ezrat Hashem, you'll hit that level of a tzaddik. And if you don't, you didn't lose anything either. But you're right. People are very often saying, "Oh, I'm going to learn like Rav Shach," but you're not Rav Shach. So get it out of your head that you're like. Now, people are always, "I'm going to sleep like the Vilna Gaon," but you're not the Vilna Gaon. I'm going to do something like Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Okay, I want to see you do some other things like Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, and then we'll talk about the things you can do like Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Exactly. Everyone should have a beautiful evening. B'ezrat Hashem.
Go too fast. God forbid.
People crash. My father had somebody in yeshiva with him. He used to wash his hands for bread 16 times. He wanted to like show off to the rabbis how religious he was. He would do 1, 1, then 3, 3, then 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. 16 times was the math he came up with. And his whole thing in yeshiva was he wore tzitzit that were long to control the rabbi. Everything was to. And my father says he remembers later when they left yeshiva and they went to the army, this guy would eat mamash not kosher during Yom Kippurim. To appease his commanders in the army that were telling him, "Oh, don't be religious. Not good for you to be religious." And that's what happens when people they run too fast, too far to places that you don't need it to go. They'll drop it just as quick as they run, just as quick, and it's not healthy. There was once a rabbi. I don't know that I would do the same thing, but there was a rabbi who saw some in his community. become. Last week he wasn't eating kosher, wasn't eating Shabbat. One day he heard this lecture, he's changing his life. So he went out and he bought himself tzitzit and a kippah, and he grew a beard, and he even went and got himself a long coat and a hat and the whole everything you need to look like a super religious guy. And I guess that's what you need, and a towel, I guess, for the mikveh, whatever else you need to look religious, right? And he came and he was doing that, and on Shabbat the rabbi told him you have to go turn on the lights. So excuse me, I'm religious now. I said go turn on the lights. I said I don't understand. I'm just turning on the lights, but I keep Shabbat. It's Shabbat today. He said you're flying too fast. You got to slow down. You got to slow down, and if you do things slowly, that are paced, that are measured, they're going to stick with you. And if you don't, you're going to drop it all just as fast as you started. I don't know that I would tell someone to turn on the lights in Shabbat, but I know that I would tell somebody to slow down. So all the time, we're not all tzaddikim, we have a class.
At some point, address